we're going to get into a giveaway that we have partnered with Miura and with Pajamas. And I mean, we're going to do just that.
Yeah,
we're going to give you a few wedge heads and just let you get creative with them.
Yeah.
We're going to give them away. We'll get into that a little bit later. You got to hang around for the whole episode. We'll get into it.
Okay, fully equipped episode in Espanol, dos, ocho, cuatro. Translate that for the folks, Wade. What is that in English?
Episode 284 for you layman's like me. Espanol.
How are you on this Wednesday? What's going on with you? Tell me about yourself.
I'm good, man. I'm just living someone's dream, homie. Just living someone's dream. Living life. Kids are good. It's school year is almost over, so Andrew and I have been planning out their summer vacation bullshit, which is wild nowadays. I remember back in my day, it was we're on summer vacation, just don't kill yourself. Now it's like everyone has to go on camp and all that crap. But otherwise, I'm good, man. What about you?
I just got back from San Antonio. We did some filming with Jimmy Walker, PGA champion, who has he's got a simulator in his house. And he can play, they call it Georgia Golf Club, but it's Augusta National, make no mistake. And he tested some mini drivers for us. He tested some golf balls, and then he spent about an hour and a half, number 16 at Augusta, just rope hook and 7-irons in there trying to make a hole-in-one. And it was quite the sight to behold. He almost did about 35 times, but I think I posted one on IG of him almost making it, and I got really passionate about it, and I said a bad word. But
Did you get a swing at it? No.
I did. I took a few swings. So he was rope hooking 7-irons in there, and I was trying to hit really, really hard six. It was like a 185-yard shot.
Yeah. So
I was hitting 6-irons in there, and he was hitting these little flingy 7-irons in there, and I came close a couple of times. I hit like 5 or 6.
Nice.
I represented. I didn't do what he did, but I showed up. I didn't embarrass myself.
Have you received those Mizunos yet?
No, I have not. I get them next week in Charlotte. Thanks for asking. Cool. While I sit there and watch you have so much fun. But dude, the nice thing, the coolest feature about your Mizunos, make no mistake, is the fancy grips that you have on there, which are the Align Max, which is the newest addition to Golf Pride's raised ridge technology, which features, get this, Wade, a higher, longer, and firmer ridge that runs the full length of the grip for increased hand placement and shot making versatility. 25% higher ridge than the original Align Maximum Ridge. Maximum consistency. The revolutionary ridge fits into the hand's natural contours. II helps you control the face, just like Ben Hogan did 50 years ago with coat hangers, guiding fingers to find their ideal grip for more consistent hand placement and a more repeatable swing. Visit golfpride.com to learn more. If that ad, people didn't know that this was a golf show, they would think we're talking about something completely different. I digress. So we have this is a short show for you and I, Wade, because we have coming out of the woodwork is it Pajamas Golf or Golf Pajamas?
I think it's Pajamas Golf.
Pajamas Golf. Interesting story. And I heard a rumor that the guy's out of Seattle, but I guess by way of Texas. But he's just an artisan club stamper guy, a lot of passion for what he's doing, and I guess he did the unholy, which is stamping some Miuras, and he posted them online. And I guess he took sort of a face bashing from all the club people that you can't stamp Miuras. And I guess Miura stepped in and said, "Oh, yes, you can." And they
listen. You can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind, because if your friends don't dance, they're no friends of mine. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want to your golf clubs.
Do you stamp your clubs, Wade? Are you that guy?
No, I used to stamp my wedges. I haven't stamped wedges for a little while now, but I used to stamp them. The only clubs I truly stamp are probably my putters, just because I know they're not going anywhere.
Right.
And I want to hand them down to my kids. It's hard to hand wedges down to your kids when they grow up. But no, I've never been a stamp guy. I don't know why. I like to personalize a lot of things. My golf clubs aren't one of them.
See, we got into that. I don't mind a stamp wedge. Like working at Callaway for 4 years, it was just what you did. Like you got a set of wedges, and Taranto stamps them up. I mean, it's like that was that was one of the perks of getting new wedges. So, a lot of the stuff that he stamped on my wedges, I could never post online for fear of cancellation. But I don't mind a stamp wedge, like what Titleist did. Actually, pretty cool. This tour toe that they did.
Yeah.
I actually love that idea. I think it's really, really cool. If you know your wedges well enough and you know the loft and the bounce and everything on your wedges, to be able to just put L, S, and G is quite the flex, because that's old school.
I totally agree with that.
So
no, the Pajamas golf stuff is really cool, man. Like he was here at my office, like kind of doing a tour and all of that kind of stuff, and super cool, down to earth dude. I think Kris did an interview with him, which I think we're going to at some point of this show. But honestly, what he does, and I don't know if you guys if anyone's watching the show has never heard of him before, go to pajamasgolf.com. You can
his name's Julian Williams, I believe is his name. Julian Williams. Yeah.
You can go to his website or go to his Instagram account. It's art what he's doing. It's pretty amazing. It's very precise. What he did on the Miura side of things that he posted was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like to be honest, like what he does with the Miura irons, if you're going to spend that much money on a set of irons, especially Miuras, because that's like an event purchase, right? It'd be like getting a Chanel bag for a girl, or it's like that. It's like that level of purchase. And I think what he does just makes it even more special. I mean, to be able to stamp them up and make them look the way he does, especially in the way he does it, because he's definitely very, very good at it.
Details
very, very impressive.
He's got like a little koi on one, which is pretty insane that you can do a koi fish that small on something with a stamping aid. It's wild.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good koi fish? So I guess it was K-Mac and Mr. Pajamas Golf, and then somebody from Miura, I think, is on that interview as well. I was not there; I was traveling at the time. So, but that's going to be the bulk of the show. It's going to be a show. You're only going to get Wade and I for about another 10 minutes, and then we're going to take our ugly. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and we'll take our ugly mugs off here. But there's a couple of topics I do want to cover.
Yeah,
Wade. First one is, we got the Philly tournament there, the Truist, which is a new event. This week over there in Philadelphia, right in Jockey Boy's backyard. So some of the cool things and he's out there, which actually makes me very proud, because he got Rory. He asked Rory a couple questions in the presser today, and I'm loving it, because like when I started here, I was like, okay, Jack, you're going to be my tour guy. You're going to be my day-to-day. Like, you're going to be that guy. You're going to chase everybody around, and this is going to be amazing. He's doing such a good job out there taking pics. He's getting to know all the caddies and stuff. And to me, that's like, I did it for 6 years, and now I'm like, okay, I like doing it, but I don't have the time to do it anymore. So he's doing a great job. But he did pick up on a couple of interesting things out there. So you're a big mini driver connoisseur.
Yep.
Talk to me about the mini driver that you're in. I'm going to ask you my question after the fact. I just want to get your input on something. So tell me what mini driver you have going.
Right now, I still have the burner mini from last year. I did just get my R7 quad, but I haven't. Like, I've still got to test it out and see what it's going to play at and all of that kind of stuff, because it does have a bit of a deeper face than the burner. So right now I'm in the burner with the weight at the front in a Ventus TR Red 6X tipped an inch.
What do you? But is that a T club for you, or is that an off the ground club for you, or both. Is it an everywhere club for you? Both. Okay.
Both. Yeah.
So the thing that I'm realizing, and I was talking to some of the reps about these mini drives, because they're starting to creep into quite a bit of bags, like a lot of guys. I mean, Eric Van Rooyen's got one now. Obviously, Fleetwood. Xander has one. I don't know if he's ever going to put it in play, but he has one. Grazerman, Davis Riley, Siwoo Kim. And there is a definite separation between the guys that use it as a 3-wood and use it as a second tee option, right? Like Siwoo Kim uses it as he hits it everywhere. He hit it out of the rough. He'll hit it out of a bunker. Like he's an insane person. Then you get somebody like Tommy Fleetwood that primarily plays it off the tee. Max Grazerman primarily off the tee. Min Woo Lee off the tee. Do you think, and I get this question a lot, my opinion is that they're actually not as easy to hit off the deck as 3-woods are, but I have some people that will argue with me against that. Like they think they're just as easy to hit off of the deck. Your experience,
Yeah.
Do you think they're practical hitting them off the deck?
Yeah, honestly, I find it easier to hit than a 3-wood. But I think a lot of it's a confidence thing, man. Like, I've got so much more confidence in that mini driver wherever I'm hitting it from that it's going to be successful no
Right.
matter what. Where I always worry with a 3-wood or even with a hybrid, is this going to hook left too much for me? I
Right.
find with the mini driver, the reason why I like it so much is the miss is a like a power fade more than anything. So if you do
Yeah.
cut it, hit it left. So if it does start going left, it's a baby draw. So yeah, I would say I use it probably 80% off tee, 20% off the deck because you're only going to use it on par fives. But to me, the big beauty of it is it's a true second serve. It is such a true second
Yeah.
serve
Yeah.
off the
That's
tee
how I look
box.
at it too.
Yeah. But no, I don't have a wood in my bag. I've got a mini driver and then I go to the UW. So I don't have a fairway in my bag.
So you go driver, mini, and then UW.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So you and I are aligned. Like I've had enough time with a bunch of them now. I've hit I had 6 months with the Callaway one, which I really,
Yep.
really liked.
Yep.
The TaylorMade one, even the R7, is easier to hit off the ground than the Callaway ones. And I literally think it comes down to the leading edge. One leading edge on the TaylorMade's slightly sharper,
Yeah.
slightly, versus
Yep.
the Elite one. That's the only difference. Other than that, like off the tee, to me, they're apples to apples. They're the same thing. And if I catch the Elite one off the ground and I catch the R7, they literally fly the same. It's just shot for shot. The R7 is a little easier because of the leading edge. So if anybody's out there testing mini drivers, the things to look out for obviously is how you hit it off the tee first and foremost. Like it's got to work off the tee or it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
And then obviously find one that you can get up in the air off the ground. And then how much
The only
further?
thing I'd say, sorry, just to really quickly say, the way I kind of rank them is like off the tee box. Like, yes, off the tee, they're all probably pretty much the same. I would say the TaylorMade one sits in the middle where you can hit it off the deck a lot easier. I would say that the Titleist 280 is better off the deck, where the other two are probably better off the tee box. I think they go a bit further and straighter because the 280 plays more like
Right.
a 2-wood. But yeah, if you're looking for
It's a true 2-wood, yeah.
Right. If you're looking for off the deck or a lot more, the 280 is probably going to be better for you. But if you're looking for like that all in the middle, I think it's the TaylorMade. But if you're looking for off the tee box, I'd go between the Callaway and the TaylorMade.
Okay. Interesting to know. Because they're actually really, really hard for people to wrap their heads around because the idea is cool. I'll say this: the idea of the mini driver is cool. Everybody's got curiosity. Everybody wants. At this point, it's kind of like zero torque putters. Everybody wants to try and make them work because it's the thing, right? It's like showing up with a mini driver, and what I learned for myself was that it has a definite practicality for me because I'm a good 3-wood player, but I'm a better mini driver player, meaning like I'm getting 4 or 5 miles an hour faster ball speed off of the tee with a mini driver.
Yep.
And I don't hit 3-woods into par fives that often unless there's nothing in front of the green. I can either run it up there. There's it's kind of a wide open target. Other than that, I'm laying up. I'm 48. I'm not trying to be a hero. So for anybody out there that's looking for a mini driver, you have to be specific and you have to make sure it actually performs. So a lot of people I think are going out there and buying them because they're cool or they might make sense, but it's one of those clubs like a zero torque putter. You got to get fit for it. It's got to work and it's got to make sense. And that's the same way it's going on tour. Like when we launched those things on tour with Callaway, everybody wanted one. And say if we gave 100 away, 15 of them actually went into play.
Right.
Because the cool part of it wore off and like, okay, I don't really need this.
Yeah.
And there was a level of disappointment to it too. I was like, really, I want to make this work, but I just can't do it. Okay, topic 2, and then we're going to wrap this up and get into pajamas golf, pajamas golf.
Pajamas golf. PJ golf.
Pajamas golf. Okay. So we did an interesting experiment with Walker in San Antonio.
Okay. Walk me through it. Put them chat.
So we're in this bay. We're in his garage, and I was like, we had a bunch of different golf balls there. We had Pro V1X, we had Pro V1, we had Chrome Tour, we had Bridgestone XS, we had them all. And something interesting kind of happened. And in the video, he hit Bridgestone XS, Chrome Tour X, and Pro V1X. Okay. Because they're all kind of similar. They're the spinniest of the retail balls of those OEMs. Some interesting things happened. So he kind of like if he hit 100 shots with every club, I mean with each ball,
Yeah.
say with seven iron and with like a 4 iron, I swear to God, 1 mile an hour and like 100 RPMs of spin separates those 3 golf balls.
Okay.
And the ones that he really got were the Titleist that he really caught. They were like 2 miles an hour faster. Like it was very, very, very small separation between the golf balls. And he got to the point where we were kind of looking at each other. He's like, he's like, I'm used to Titleist. And he's like, granted, we're indoors and it's not apples to apples because we're inside. But I've never seen a guy hit that many golf balls and net out results that were so
tight,
close.
Yeah.
Because usually the more balls you hit, everything starts to separate because either it gets really warm with it. I guess it's a little bit different with golf clubs because you kind of warm up to a golf club. Golf balls are golf balls, right?
Right.
And I did it in a way where he was not necessarily fresh. So he would hit one after the other. So he wouldn't hit like 5 Pro V1s in a row. He'd hit 1, 1, 1, take a break, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
And literally, dude, like it kind of blew my hair back. I was like, there is not a big difference between these golf balls.
Right.
And I knew that a little bit, but not to that extent. And I was like, wow, these are actually all really close. So I kind of left there dumbfounded, more or less, just like, how do you separate what ball to play? Like at what? So him and I started talking about it. And he goes, honestly, he's like, I would have to take these golf balls out. He's like, off the driver, they're all fast. They all spin. They all do what they're supposed to do. He's like, iron play, they might separate themselves a little bit with irons. He's like, I'd have to take them out on the golf course from like 135 yards and hit like dead-handed wedge shots, like off-speed shots, and see what one stays in the air the longest to know. Yeah. That's kind of the only way I could tell you what ball's going to work.
Isn't that your point that you're kind of like always trying to get across to people, which is when you're building your bag, you should be building towards your ball, but you should be building from the green back, not from the tee box forward. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And this just kind of proves that point even harder, right?
Well, it got me thinking because the golf balls themselves, and I got to say, I got to pat myself on the back. When I was at Callaway, I did a pretty good job of ensuring, like, we're going to talk about these golf balls from the green back. Because usually golf ball marketing is like 5 miles an hour faster off the tee and spins more around the greens, where you kind of need to, you got to hit putts first to make sure they sound good.
Yep.
Because if you don't like, if you have to, they have to feel good. Then you hit some pitch shots, and you hit some chip shots, and then you bunkers, and you keep working your way back. So could these balls separate themselves there? Yeah, and like people will always ask, like, if I have all these golf balls out by a green, how can I tell what one's better for me? Like, what one ends up closer to the hole? I'm like, no. The best way to tell is if you are hitting 10 shots with a Pro V1X and 10 shots with a Chrome Tour X, for example. What you're looking for is how many times at the same strike does the ball look the same. Yeah. So like if you're sitting there hitting 10 chip shots, and you hit 8 of them and they look exactly the same, and 2 of them you may have mishit a little bit, but they still look pretty close to the good ones, that's probably a pretty good golf ball. If you're chipping them and you're hitting them all good, but the balls, I don't want to say it's moving left to right, but it's going some are a little higher, some a little lower, some roll out. Is like that's a marker that either it's not good for you or the golf ball's not as awesome around the greens as the other one is.
Right.
So on tour, what they're talking about with consistency is obviously spin. If they hit a shot a certain way, they expect it to do a certain thing. The other thing is how many times, if I hit the shot 100 times, I need to look in the air a certain way 100 times perfectly.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it's a ball thing. It's not a me thing. It's a ball thing.
Right.
I don't know what point I was trying to prove, but that was what I was thinking about last night after we did this test. I was like, this is it.
I think what I'm taking from this conversation, I'm hoping that the people listening are taking from it is like you should really be building around the golf ball that you're using, and kind of similar to the conversation we've been having is that there's not like the OEMs are getting closer and closer and closer with driver irons, all of that kind of stuff. Like you've got to find what's right for you for your game. Same thing goes for golf ball. You know what I mean? Like Marty Jertson, who he's one of the guys that developed Ball Namic, right? Ball Namic is a great tool for ball fitting online, but he's someone that kind of gets a little bit neurotic with his golf balls, where he'll be like, I've got 3 or 4 different golf balls in my bag because I know this one is better in the wind. So if I'm playing a hole that is with a headwind, I want to play this ball. Everything for him is about the ball. So. I think what I would try to take away from what you're putting forward, if I'm a listener, is do you actually know what golf ball is right for you? Just because this goes further for you off the tee box doesn't mean it's going to actually shave scores off your scorecard, because you might be losing a lot of shots around the green because it's not checking up properly, or the dispersion is not quite right, to your point, from 120 yards in, or the feeling off the putter face just feels horrible for you. So for me, it's like,
sometimes, well, sorry to interrupt you, but sometimes it's down to like, how does it perform when you're not hitting it properly?
yeah,
Like, and that's something that Rocco and I have talked a lot about. He's like, sometimes I'm hitting it thin. Like sometimes I just hit it thin. Like I'm living out of the bottom groove, right? And he's like, there are certain golf balls that are better for that. Like, and typically you want one that spins a lot. Like if you're out of the bottom groove, you actually want one that spins more because you can control it more. It doesn't, say for example, if I hit it thin, and he's like, some of these holes will play, you might be downwind, but if you don't get it up in the air, the wind's going to, if it doesn't get up into the jet stream, it's going to come straight down. It's like, if you have a ball that kind of launches high with some spin, on days like that really helps you. It's going to stay up in the air. And he's like, you have to consider all that stuff, because those are the ones that you hit 6-iron, you hit a little thin, and it should have got there because it's downwind, but it doesn't. All of a sudden you're in the water because instead of your 6-iron going 170, it went 150. He's like, that stuff matters. And he goes, a lot of that comes down to the golf ball. And I was like, that's interesting. So anyway, these are the things that keep me awake at night, as you all know.
How do you think customers or general people like that don't have access to golf balls like we do, right? How do you think they should go out and test that in regards to which golf ball to use? Is it go buy 3 or 4 different sleeves of golf balls that you've got interest in, and then go to a local joint where you can just stand out on a hole 120 yards out, hit a couple, and just play around with a couple of golf balls and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way, and this is something I learned from actually the first golf professional that I ever worked for, which was at Rainier in Seattle. This is how he used to do it. So he was always in between like Titleist Tour Blada and Maxwell HT 100. And what he used to do before every season started is he would take out 2 sleeves of each and would go around the green. That's why I got the whole hit putts with it first, hit chip shots with it first, hit shots with it first. But that's what he used to do. And he would end up after 2 days and go, I'm going to play the Tour Blada this year, and for these reasons. And he didn't have launch monitors back. This is the mid 90s, but that's how we used to test golf balls. And he would hit slices, he would hit hooks, he would hit long bunker shots, short bunker shots, and he was using it all with his eyes. And he said, this Tour Blada, for example, he's like, when I hit a shot and it came off the club face, this ball matched what I thought I should see the most times. So if I hit a shot and I was expecting it to do certain thing, this one did it the most.
Yeah.
And he's like, but that's just where I am. That's how I'm hitting shots this going into this season matches up with this ball. So he would retest golf balls every year.
Interesting.
To try and find, just to either confirm that the ball he played last year was the right one, or to see if there was a better one for him.
Would he change?
And at that time it was, yeah.
Was there any time he would change it?
Yeah, so he had a year where he was primarily a Maxwell HT 100 guy, and then he would swap into. There was a year that he swapped into the Titleist ball for that very reason. He was playing a little bit more golf. He was getting faster. He was hitting the ball better, and then all of a sudden the Tour Blada just worked better for him. And but that still holds true today, because it's exactly how they test balls on tour now. Same exact way. The same way that Keith Williams at Rainier Country
So there you go, guys. Go out there, grab
a
a couple of sleeves of golf balls you're interested in, and go see what they do. Yeah, go give it a go, see what happens. And you never know, maybe the Nike Mojo that you're playing is not right for you.
You never know. He might be. The best thing to do, honestly, if I was going to give anybody advice, and it's going to cost you $100, sorry, is buy. If you go to a fitting, right? First and foremost, you go to a fitting, because you can kind of test golf balls there. And if your fitter is pretty savvy, he'll start to look at your numbers and introduce you to golf balls that fit in your genre, right? If you're a high spin player, they'll start throwing Pro V1 and Chrome Tour at you. Like, try these. And if that's the ball that you find that is performing the best, before you go out and spend $5,000 on that set of clubs, you can actually go home and go, these seem to be the balls that I was testing the best with. And then you take those balls and you kind of figure out what the ball is going to be first. Once you decide on your ball, then you make your order for your clubs, because now you're sort of building you're ensuring that the ball that you're using is at least in the ballpark, and then you can either go back to your fitter, or you can go back to your fitter. You could do the testing beforehand with a golf ball and say, this is the golf ball I want to use. I've tested it with my old sticks. This is the one I want to use. I want to build a bag around this ball.
There you
go from there.
That makes sense. Can I ask you a quick non-golf question before we jump to the Pajamas golf interview?
Sure.
Okay. If the Warriors win the championship this year,
he's GOAT conversation.
That's what I'm saying. Does he leapfrog become top 3 GOAT conversation?
So let's be clear here. When it comes to the GOAT debate in basketball, and I feel like I have enough experience and expertise to say this, there's not even Michael Jordan is 1A, 1B, and 1C.
100%.
All these other guys are 2A, 2B, and 2C. There's no argument. Like, and anybody that's trying to manufacture an argument to make it so, it's a stupid argument. You can't touch the guy, and the records speak for itself. The statistics speak for itself. The time he played, like 90s NBA basketball was peak Apex Mountain NBA basketball. It's the best that's ever going to be. It's the best that's ever going to. But what you're asking is if Steph Curry, if he wins, if by some act of God, and if they get past Minnesota, somehow, then all bets are off, because once you get into the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals, it comes down to coaching.
100%.
It's 70% coaching and 30%, because every team's beat down by that point. Yep. And right? They're all beaten up.
And they're all good.
So now it's figuring out, and they have to look at each other 7 games in a row. Yep. So, like, for example, Steph's not going to play in the next game, right? So everybody's like, well, Jimmy's going to have to step up. Well, Jimmy's not going to be able to step up the way that Jimmy wants to step up, because Jimmy's going to get double and triple teamed all night. Yep. So now it's down to Paz and Buddy and Draymond and all these other guys are going to have to do some crazy shit for them to win, right? Yep. They're going to have to step up, and hopefully Jimmy can figure out a way to score 20 or 25. But that's the only way they're going to win this game.
It's going to be the Kuminga game. Watch it. It's going to be the Kuminga game, I bet you.
It could be. Somebody's going to – 2 of those guys are going to have to come out of the woodwork and score 20-plus.
Yep.
And they're going to have to do it fast. They come out of the gate scoring 20. And I've always said that Paz kid, like, if he inserted himself as a true point guard, and own that role, he'd be nasty. He just plays a little too tentative. So to answer your question, if Steph wins this, he's 100% 2A. Jordan's 1A, 1B, 1C, all the way down to 1Z. Then Steph Curry is a legitimate 2A, because it's hard to match. He changed the game the way he played, so he's got that going for him. He'll have 5 championships. He'll have 1 unanimous MVP, which is unheard of. Yep. And he's doing it at an older age, and he's done it with 3 or 4 different squads. Yep. So
I agree.
Yes.
I just want to make sure agreements there. If you give a shit about what we're talking about right now, comment down below whether you think that Steph is like, if they win the championship, what's going to happen there? Because I'd love to get people's thoughts on this, because I think this is I think golf is interesting, but I think these conversations are very interesting as well. Anyway, we got to jump to Pajamas Golf. Enjoy the interview. Thank you for watching this episode. Johnny?
See you next week. It's PGA Championship week. We'll be on site at PGA Championship. So mahalo from Wadeh and Wunder. Enjoy golf. Pajamas, golf.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Fully Equipped. Kris McCormack, joined by Blake Smith from Miura Golf, and we are with Julian Williams. And today, Julian, you're coming with us on this journey that is Pajamas Golf. Now, we have an absolute loyalist following of gearheads and just sickos for all things cool when it comes to golf stuff. And we have landed you in the right spot, because I'm looking at this table, looking at your golf bag. I've been scouring pictures and videos and things that you have posted on your social media. And dude, you have got some really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. That. So to have you sitting in front of us here, for those of us out there that may not know Pajamas and may not know your story, give us a little background. How did you get into what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, so for a little bit of background, most people are familiar with, in the tour world, of people having wedges stamped, right? It's pretty common. You might see some initials on things, or, what used to be in the past, people stamping details on that custom build. So what lofts, what kind of grind that they put, that was a way of tracking historically in the past. And what it's kind of molded into these days is people bringing their personality into the clubs.
For
that
sure.
You see that on tour. And then as we kind of progress, people in, the more realistic golf world that we all live in, all want the stuff that the tour players have. So you start to get into stamping in that world. Where I kind of come in is being able to provide that level of stamp work, but also to kind of take it to the extreme. The people that you see doing stamp work, for tour players, they have to handle the volume of stuff that's coming in. You talk to people like Aaron Dill at Titleist, where he can only spend like 5 minutes, 10 minutes total on the stamp work on a club before he has to pass it off. And so to do something a little bit different, I kind of like to dive into the detail per se. So to be able to really bring any kind of idea to light and give it the attention that it needs to get it there. So I'm kind of trying to take what was built in the tour world to take that to, well, what could you do if time was not a limitation to that?
Love that. And you have a really interesting background and almost kind of this golf persona is like an alter ego. What is it that you do? You have a day job.
Sure.
You have a normal job, or normal job for you.
Sure.
For us, I'm going way above my pay grade, mentally, physically, capability wise. What else is it that you do to occupy your time?
Yeah, so my daily, I am an aerodynamic test engineer for the Boeing company. I do wind tunnel development for all sorts of different types of vehicles and specialize in advanced test technique wind tunnel characterization methods. So my daily life, my professional life at work is, hardened thought of, crunching numbers and, really trying to pay attention and dive deep. And it's actually really nice to be able to get home. And then when I switch brains to the golf side, it's like an entirely different thing that is almost like therapeutic for me because I'm able to hyper focus on it because I'm working with stuff with very small, very stamp work, painting with tiny little brushes and stuff. So it's actually just like a release from the monotony of a daily professional life and just hyper focus on something that, I really enjoy doing.
And you've built it into a business.
Yeah.
And in conversations that we had off camera, and you are doing a lot of business.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is awesome. Now, Blake and I, we are very similar in our parallels where we know a lot about a little.
Sure.
Yeah. And we know a lot about golf clubs. We know a lot about fitting. We know a lot about design and just what goes into making a player better with their gear. And now you take what it is that we do to the next level, add an extra element of customization. And looking at your bag, it not only does that intimidate the hell out of me playing the Miura MB 101, I'm looking at that going, a skill level here, not a thing. But it is just beautiful to look at, and the amount of time that went into that bag, I can't even imagine. And crazy.
Yeah, and it's really cool that you've got both sides of your brain that you're exercising, right? All day you're, like you said, crunching numbers. You're really hyper focused on science, on wind tunnel. That's cool that you do the wind tunnel stuff. That's interesting. You got the Cobra driver, and they're all about that kind of stuff right now.
Definitely.
So, but as far as Miura goes, what brought you to Miura? I know that our ideals align with yours as far as craftsmanship and really making, the best of the best. What made you gravitate toward Miura?
Sure. Just kind of walk it back and starting this journey of stamp work, trying to build a customer base and find my niche, right? Usually what I was running into was most of my customers, wanted something with, a sports logo or, something that, identifies well with them, but didn't necessarily give me the leeway for an artistic outlet that I wanted. And, as I progressed through this journey, you build, more techniques into it and you're able to just do a lot more with it that, you eventually start to find what makes sense. And when I did my first set of Miuras, I really, as you see with hand stamp work and whatever, I really love anything that's like handcrafted, that shows that there's been handwork put into it, that somebody has like sweat over what you're getting. And seeing things about Miura and all the lore behind it, coming up in the community, that's like something that you would covet, is like such incredible like pieces of equipment. And as I was starting to grow things, then kind of came up with the idea of, well, let me buy a set for myself. Let me try to stamp it, and like maybe this could be something. And so bought my first set, and this would have been, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Stamp it up, and I'm thinking this is going to be great, and I go post it to social media, and to my surprise, I actually got a lot of hate at first because people that are hating, how dare you touch those, perfection? Why would you do this? And
That's
this and
I
that.
wouldn't think of that.
And so it was like kind of a shock to my system. But lo and behold, people that actually owned Miuras and had them were reaching out because they now saw that I did stamp work to them. You can damage a club very easily like that. But I then started to build the trust with people that actually own them and were like, hey, let me send stuff to you to do. So there was an amount of hate that I got there, but then there were still like the customers coming in that would ignore that and do things. And as we kind of progressed along, I really like to play into the artistic styling of things, and I like the boldness of the color. And so as I started to progress and do more and more, and then eventually kind of get connected with the Miura team, that once they posted something on the official Miura account, the floodgates opened. Now the official approval came out, and people are like, "Well, now we can't hate anymore." So now
you have the blessing.
Now it's legit. Yeah.
And so then from when that kind of went out, it just kind of allowed me to like open the door. And as I get to like talk to more customers and the things that they're into, and look at what like the overall like Miura like ethos is in like Japanese culture and sakura, cherry blossoms, and scenery, Mount Fuji, that's just kind of like opened the door to really play into what I've found that really resonates with not only the Miura community, but it really like hits the artistic side of me that like wants to push me forward and do this. And in the more recent stuff, things have just been progressing and getting much more complicated these days. Like you see this wedge that's kind of like depicting like a Japanese scenery of like a train crossing a bridge, and like with cherry blossoms and Mount Fuji and stuff. And I find myself doing these projects, and I'll be in the middle of it and all this intricate stamp work, and I'm like, how did I end up in this place? Like I've gotten way too comfortable doing these what would have been monumental stamp jobs when I first started. And I'm like, how did I end up that I'm like able to do this and it's able to like work for me? And it really has been like just like the Miura community and being able to like play into that artistic style that people are now sending me stuff where they don't even have requests anymore. They're just like, have fun. I want something special.
Just do what you do.
Do what you do, and I want it to be special. And that's like the biggest honor that you could possibly receive. And so that's some of my favorite work to do, is when people are like, I just don't care. Just make something special for me. Here's the kind of things that I like. And that's what I like to do.
Don't tell the artist how to paint.
Right.
Just give him the canvas.
Yeah. Michelangelo, you get in there and you paint a ceiling.
That's it. Just paint the ceiling.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into a giveaway that we have partnered with Miura and with Pajamas. And I mean, we're going to do just that.
Yeah,
we're going to give you a few wedge heads and just let you get creative with them.
Yeah.
We're going to give them away. We'll get into that a little bit later. You gotta hang around for the whole episode. We'll get into it. But hey, how long have you been doing this now?
Like 6 or 7 years.
Okay. And when did it really start to kind of get to that aha moment where it's like, I'm good enough, I can monetize this?
Yeah. So how it all like started, one of my buddies gone through and became like a PGA professional and was working at a local club in Dallas. He got on staff with Callaway, and he's starting to like tell us about all of his cool fitting process and things, and we were like, oh, that's so cool, not knowing somebody going through that's like amazing. And he kind of brought it up that he's like, well, the one thing I can't do is like get any of the wedge work by like Anthony Toronto. And it's like, at the time, I always like to like try things. I was forging knives at the time. And so, working with hammers and things. And he just kind of like approached me and was like, could you do this stamp work? And I was like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. And then so, went to Harbor Freight, bought $10 stamps and a cheap hammer, and, just started there doing it myself, and then to try to do it for my buddies. And, then I was like, well, maybe there's some interest here, but can't be much, right? You might do a couple things, maybe pay for a couple rounds of golf a month. Like that would be cool. So you started reaching out and like trying to see, well, how do you find people? Social media turns out to be the method that you would go through. And it seemed to happen pretty quick that I found myself, getting a lot of orders. And like I mentioned, a lot of it was sports teams, things like that, because I didn't really have, a name built, a persona. Why would they come to me other than I can just do something?
Sure.
But why would they trust, what I have to say, regardless of what they're into? And it happened just within probably like less than 6 months that it got to the point that was much stronger than I would have ever thought it would have been. And a lot of that effort was playing the social media game, trying to find followers, talking to all these people. The conversions on that wasn't nowhere like it is today. It might have been a 10 or 20% conversion on what people would reach out versus like actually like sending clubs in to have the work done. But in like a 6-month window, I went from thinking, a little bit of something to like fund my golf game to then now all of a sudden bringing in money, and now I don't have time to play golf. And that's a fine line that you walk. Played that for a while, not really understanding where I wanted it to go, other than I was really enjoying the golf community and like, finally starting to like meet others that do this kind of thing. Like being in this world is, I don't know, more fun than anything. Like I mentioned, I got a day job, but I like to put my time into this because of, everybody that you get to meet. And so then just kind of continued on with it. And over a couple of years of doing it at that level of, maintaining my time and doing a lot more normal things, you start to build a name, you start to meet the right people, and then my personality into my stamp work starts to like come in, and that persona kind of changed. So it really happened in like less than 6 months that I was like, this could be a business, and like go like actually turn it into a business and file an LLC and, set up bank accounts and like try to get trademarks on your name and logo. And it was never supposed to be that. It was supposed to just be like, let's do this for my buddies and maybe a couple other people I know.
Fun little pet project.
Yeah. The first set of wedges I sold, I was living in Nashville at the time, and I had done some Tennessee Vols wedges. I was like, this would probably do well in the area. Maybe I sell it on Craigslist or Marketplace. And the first person I showed it to at my work down there was a Vols fan. He immediately was like, how much? And not understanding value or anything like that, I gave a number that was way too low, and he said immediately, I'll take it. And I was like, damn it. Like,
like one of those.
I set the wrong price. And
should have been 5,000.
And so you just, it was funny at first that, who would be interested in this kind of thing? Like maybe I might be able to sell a couple. And then it just seemed like almost anybody that I showed was immediately like, yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's mine. Thanks.
Yeah.
No.
And I can tell you that the Miura community has fully embraced you.
Mm-hmm.
I was there on the beginning of seeing your stuff, right? So it was way back in the day. It was actually before I started working for Miura. And then we saw some of your stuff and we're like, wow, that is incredible. And it aligns like right along with what we like out of, if somebody's going to do something to a Miura, rather than just like stamping their initials into it, it's got to be like artwork like that. Yeah. So
do justice to the club itself. Right?
Yeah. And so we don't like it when it takes away from the Miura beauty, right? Just looking at 101s, when you just look at them in the bag, like, all right, that's like fine
Gorgeous.
jewelry, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it doesn't enhance it, then we're like, nah, because we've seen plenty of things where like, okay, that doesn't enhance it. This for sure enhances it. The whole motif, the cherry blossoms, like you said, Mount Fuji, all the stuff that has to do with Japanese culture. We're all into that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at 101s, and these are your gamers.
Yep.
I kind of want to get into that. Like, how did you come to that? Like, I know that you got fit and all that kind of stuff. Kind of take us through the decision on the 101s.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to go do a proper true spec fitting in Dallas December, and got to have fantastic time with it. And it would have been my first time. It's funny that I live this like scientific world. Like
Right.
I spend all of my effort pulling all of these like crazy data sets and trying to pull all this data, but when it comes to the golf world, I was like, how good could it be? Like
We answer that question every day, Blake.
Right?
Yeah.
How good could it be? Well, buckle up. We're going to show you.
And so, starting to build this relationship a little bit more, and working with Truist Spec and Miura, I was like, well, like let me do it right. Like let's go, dive, both feet in. Like let's really get it going. And so, got to go through the proper fitting process. And before that, I've had a few sets of like Miura tournament blades is what I played in the past, and loved them, loved the feel. But if I'm going to go in and do this fitting, I wanted to go in, eyes wide open. Like, let's see what we could do. And so, stuff that I had interest in, just because of the nature of my work and stamp work, blades are pretty a pretty obvious direction to take. But I
Good canvas to work with.
didn't want that to necessarily limit me. But seeing the work of like the KM700s have gotten like extremely popular. I do more KM700s than anything else right
Great
now.
iron.
Yeah, fantastic. And so that piques my interest, that I wanted to look at that. The TC201 and now the TC202, I just swung some earlier today, and it's also a fantastic club. And then the MC502. So we kind of just went like eyes wide open and just started to work through the different clubs and hone in on the appropriate shafts, which was a very different direction than I went. I was as we were like honing in, we had ruled out the KM700 pretty early on, ruled out the 201 as well, and we had narrowed down pretty close to like the MC502 versus the MB101s.
Okay.
And it was really interesting to find that difference. But once we found and honed in on the right shaft, everything changed and the groupings all narrowed in. And the difference between the two clubs was not so different. The groupings were very similar, a little bit distance-wise. I think I had like a 3-yard difference on the MC502. But
It's usually what we see.
Yeah. And but it, grouping directionality-wise was just like fantastic with both of them. And then, as it comes to business decision, there's more room to work with on an MB101.
Bigger canvas to work
so,
with.
you do have to play into that a bit, that it's like, yes, it does need to be good enough for me, but if one is marginally better but doesn't provide enough room for me to really do what I do, then, that kind of plays into the MB101. And also, if you can hit a blade, why wouldn't you hit a blade?
Right.
That's fair.
Just saying.
100%.
So
that's why I'm not playing blades right now. I got that 202. I need some help.
So so that's how I kind of ended up into it, and we got to go through this whole process, with the fitting, and I also was talking that was really cool. In the past, I've built all my own clubs myself, experimented with shafts and built them, and I've never actually gotten to have the experience that many of my customers have of getting to open a box of essentially jewelry, like you say, and something to get really excited about. And, I always stamp stuff myself, and I've, you find when you do things for yourself, you cut corners, it just happens. I just don't need to spend that level of detail on it. And so when we started to come together on this build, I wanted to do what is a no hold build look like? What is the top end that you could do? And so my wedges, I did all scenery builds where you're multiple hours of just stamp work before you get into the paint. And it's just what could you do with it? And so I wanted to take the time to really do justice to the clubs that I was getting, and then as well as being able to send them off. They were built by Truist Spec, and then was able to get them back and open that box. And that was pretty magical moment for me. I've never had that experience, an experience that I provide for so many others. Getting them to have that myself was really enjoyable, because I got to spend time away from the clubs, and then they come up and they're brand new and they're fresh. And then to go take those to the course, I got to also break them in. The very first round with them was at Chambers Bay.
Nice.
Just to
That's real good.
Just to put justice in, for background, I'm in Seattle. And so why not go play Chambers?
Why not?
Why wouldn't you?
Can't? And, got to have a great round with them. And it's just So everything about it is just to like kind of play into like the aura of the overall club that it plays, and you want to do it justice.
Right.
So you got the raw heads, did all the stamp work, and then sent the heads back to Truist.
Yep.
They did the builds, put the custom ferrules in there, and put everything together. You get the box back, open it up, and I mean, that experience, taking something that you've put, I mean, if you had to guess the amount of time spent on the iron heads and the wedges, just in the stamping and the paint work, what would you guess you have invested in your gamer set?
A lot of man hours there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have a follow-up question that you can think about. If you had to put a monetary value on this set,
Right.
all in, where are we at here?
Oof.
I'm curious.
Let's see. So probably on the order of 20, 25 hours into the irons and the wedges, just in stamp work and paint.
Okay.
A bit ludicrous, but again, trying to do it for myself. I don't
Sure.
care. And what would you put the value on that?
So starting over here with Miura,
Yeah.
if you're looking
Stock
at
set.
yeah, if you're looking at this set, which he is, I mean, obviously a purist.
Sure.
There's not a fairway wood in that bag. He
Yeah.
has
He's
an
got a 2-iron.
MB 101 2-iron.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
2-iron with
That's ball striker right there.
a Fuji Ventus 10X.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that to me, that's very emasculating
Also-
for me. By the way,
Yeah.
the fact that he's sitting here with a 2-iron
flex.
MB 101 with a Ventus 10X in it, and I'm over here going,
We also just picked this
Yeah.
up today and got to
Yeah.
have the first swing on it on the Truist sim, and not to tote it, but it was 247.
Yeah,
big
I saw
deal.
it.
Right
big deal.
down.
It was
right down
striped.
fairway. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking
Pretty
at it. I was
excited
like,
about
I
it.
saw that, and I even I gave you a little bit of shit with it. I was like, hey, so you just like walk up to the first tee and throw down a ball and just stripe one right off the deck,
That would be
and then
the
he
hope.
gets up there and hits a 250, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think he actually does that.
he turns around and looks at you and go, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good
So
fitting.
We
Why
still
else would I
betting?
have
to?
Is that what
Yeah.
we're doing? We're still betting. The game's still on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it's and then I'm looking in the bag too. I'm sorry, I jumped in front of your answering the man hour
Yeah,
question and all that kind of stuff. But
I wanted to, from your perspective, retail-ish on
Yeah.
the set that he has, and then him
yeah.
adding his
So,
time and money into
of a
it.
2-through pitching wedge.
right, so you're looking at $3,200 ish, right in there.
Okay.
And then the build and the shafts and everything. I mean, I'd say probably in the area of high threes, maybe low fours.
I was going to say, is it $4,000 to $4,500?
Yeah, let's say $4,000. Like just that's just a nice round number.
And now
And
we
then you
have
got your 25
hours
Yeah.
of stamping and paint. If somebody were to buy this set from you after you've put all the time into it, what's the number look like?
Yeah.
And don't lowball like the first guy.
Yeah, don't lowball it. Well, these things are beautiful, by the way,
Yeah,
and they're not for sale.
No.
This is the gamer set.
This is mine. Yeah, I mean, you're probably talking, on top of that, another $2,500 to $3,000 to do it like at this level of detail. And
I think
I don't
that's still
necessarily.
low. Honestly, I think it's $10,000 set of golf club.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a one of
I
one.
appreciate that valuation,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, just
yeah,
the
no,
way they
it's-
look, and I mean, it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I'll post some pictures and put it on our social channels because, I mean, they are fantastic to look at, and it's a conversation piece. They look like pieces of art in the bag.
Oh yeah,
The ferrules are perfect complements.
Yeah, you got to match.
You've got the koi fish, you've got the cherry blossoms, you got every little intricate detail. And I mean, to your point, you have built an artistic design around the Miura logo, enhancing what it is that Miura already does really well.
yeah.
Super cool, man.
And that's what we're into. Now I'm looking at it too, and I see the K grind.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes when people see the K grind, they're like, I don't know about that. But we know some things on our side and how amazing those are. Like, how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, so the K grind is I've had a few different sets of a bunch of sets of wedges. I'm bad at selling stuff. I like to build things for myself and keep going. But so I've had a couple sets of the K grind 1.0s and got to really have a good feel of those.
Yeah.
And I really like them, especially out of bunkers, especially like the 56 degree, to be able to open that up and like the level of, for lack of better words, bounce on like the back of the face and really opening up that through that. Like, so for like sand wedge, I push a K grind all the time. Love it. And then, you know, with like the current lineup, I really like the lower bounce of the K grind these days compared to the forged wedges.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that K grind out of the bunker and long rough is like it's like a cheat code.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I really especially love the grind for like my 52 degree that I use. Being able to like pick it clean as well. Like it feels like hitting a blade, but has like more of the weighting characteristics to really generate that spin underneath that you're looking for to control.
Nice.
Love them.
Yeah.
They're also big conversation starters as well,
For
because
sure.
nobody's ever seen them. Like, what is that? What did you do that? No,
Yeah, if you're not a gearhead,
Right.
and I mean we are a very small demographic of the golfing population.
really are.
Somebody that just really dives into gear and is like, oh, I recognize that golf club.
Yeah.
You know, that was a prototype from
Sure.
and then getting into, oh, okay, now I recognize this whole bag. I mean, percentage wise of the golfing population, somebody that has a true appreciation of gear, what would you say? 5%, maybe?
If that.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 2.
Yeah.
That's fair.
2 or 3. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, conversation piece, the whole thing is a conversation piece. You see that on, like, you walk up and you put your bag on the first tee, people are like, what?
I'm not going to play him for money.
No. Not with a 2-iron. And especially if he throws it down on the first tee with no tee, and or just does like the Lauren Davies or the what's her name? Davies. Laura Davies.
Yeah. And when she gives it the little natural tee, a little tap of the turf.
Yeah. Tees it
and
up
then,
and wham, right down
incredible.
the middle, 250.
30-foot apex height screamer down
Game
the hill.
on,
No
I
big
guess,
deal.
huh?
Now, we didn't answer this yet, and I apologize. That's doing you an injustice. Pajamas. Where did that come from? Cool, fun logo. You've got the custom belt buckle. Nice flex there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Stamped as well.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. That's
And
your
then I
brand,
saw
right?
the cool one-of-one hand-stitched leather head cover on the driver. We don't have that with us, but that thing's super cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, like we mentioned, this was never supposed to be a business, right?
Fair.
So date all the way back where the name comes from. Growing up, I'm a '90s kid, Nickelodeon.
The best decade.
There was a show on Nickelodeon called All That. Was like a youth SNL, and there were some skits on there, and there was one particular skit that was not done a lot, but I don't know, it somehow resonated with me, where Drake Bell was a ruthless mob boss named Tony Pajamas. And as a kid, I was like,
I forgot about that
awesome
character.
name. I was like, just the hilarity of that. Like as a kid, I was like, the ruthless nature of, pajamas. And so I had like adopted that as like my gamer tag for like ever, and was like, pajamas and this and that. And, as we grow up and like, start to get into my professional career, that like has kind of like disappeared for many years, and something in the back of the mind. And when I started stamping, it was pretty quick in when I was like, I might be able to do something here. And at the time, Wedge Wizard was everywhere. Yep. And I thought what was like the coolest thing that he had done was brand himself. The wizard hat was like incredible to do. It was everywhere. So cool. It was so distinct, like you could recognize it from across the way. And it's not to say like, you tried to copy that, but it was like, I think it's important to like try to brand yourself as an artist. And, so I'm sitting down with some friends and trying to like come up with like, what cool like idea could I come up with? And I was like, thinking too hard on it. Like, just go back to what has worked in the past and like, let me see if I can come up with a fun idea. Like, I never intended it for it to be big. I was like, don't take myself too serious. Let me have a pair of polka dot pajama pants in like this world of golf, and did the logo, and it kind of stuck. And I was doing these fringe, small, levels of stamp work. And once it started to like grow, I was like, oh no, like I've associated myself with this like, very odd, brand name and, design, but I just love it. It's fun. It's me. don't take myself too serious. I'm not in this for like, this isn't an industry that I'm not in it for the money. I'm just here to have a good time. And
Love that.
You're pure. That's the purity of it. That's really cool.
And so, yeah, I like to have a logo that tells me that, or tells people that I'm not very serious. Like, So it was something, again, if I would think about it in the past of like knowing what I know now, how would I try to start a business again? It could be 10 million different ways, but I'm very happy with where it's gotten to in the organic way that it actually came about.
And you're happy with how it has turned out. You're happy with where it is. You're happy with the scaling, and you've started to take on some partnership now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're doing more. It's not just stamp work now. I mean, looking at this table, we've got some putters to talk about. We've got some different accessories and things like that. You've got a partnership that you're working with Sugar Skull.
Yep.
And I mean, that's cool company in itself. I'm a head cover nerd and collector, and everybody that watches and listens to our podcast knows that I'm a sucker for all things cool when it comes to accessories.
Yeah, your bag is cool, man.
Anything to distract from the lack of play.
He just showed me his man cave earlier, and
it's amazing.
I mean, it's incredible.
I'm
a big color guy, and to look at that and everything on the wall is like,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
something
one
to
of the
covet.
coolest I've been in.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever we go play golf, his bag is people like stop and they're like, "Whoa!" And he's like, "Don't touch, no touchy,
don't even look at it."
Yeah, keep moving.
But so you guys do your own putters?
Yeah. That's these putters are
they're
special.
cool, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're super cool. Walk us through this: the millwork, the face design, the overall shape of the heads, and no welds.
Yeah, no welds. So to walk it back a little bit, again, the kind of running theme here is I never expected any of this to happen. I'd never expected to be in like manufacturing of putters and things like that. And, it all comes down to meeting, cool people in the world. And, one of my buddies, shout out to Steve, had, reached out to me. This was years ago. They'd seen my work on Instagram, and we kind of started talking. And, he reached out about, well, hey, I'm, looking to start a putter company and, would like to, employ your work. It'd be really cool to like, contract in some of the design work to, try to elevate what he was trying to build. And he, like many of us, was a big gear nerd. He had bought a lot of putters from a lot of the different, companies out there that are making high-end, unique one-off pieces. And he had this large collection in his man cave and had realized, I don't actually like how these play. And so he had kind of like set out to trying to put together the right people to mill something to the highest end spec that you could, have something that's designed well, have something that has the right finishes to like a high-end level, putter, but then be able to actually play, and something that you would put it in the bag and you could have real players that would want to play it and not just have it on your wall in your man cave. And so he was kind of starting this journey, and I got involved pretty early on, to do stamp work. And like I said, I'm an engineer, and I kind of don't stop and hyper focus in on things. So started asking all these questions and kind of diving in a bit further. And, he then kind of comes back and he's like, whoa. It's like, all right, let's be partners. Let's start something. So it's kind of taken off from there. And so some of the key things about this is geometries that you can play, but the freedom that I have to have a entirely blank canvas without a brand that you can just do whatever you want with is, it's an incredible feeling to do. And, taking it beyond that, I'm able to stamp these clubs in a way that you don't usually see, because of the level of detail. It's really hard to stamp putters. It's not a flat surface that you could just put on and stamp. And so, we've milled special jigs to hold that very specific putter shape to allow me to get to all these different facets on all these edges and be able to do like the detail of stamp work to have. So it's been a really cool process, and was never supposed to be a thing. And then, so we started then making putters for Sugar Skull Golf, and which has been really fun in its own right because of, the head cover world. We're now able to make these one-of-one putters that match a one-of-one head cover.
Yes.
And collectors really enjoy that kind of thing.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So, the moment you take something into limited production and then to a one of one, that kind of changes the game.
Yeah,
and
when you put things like proto,
Yeah.
or sample,
Yeah.
collectors,
Or just one of one.
Yeah. Or just one of one.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. Sorry to interrupt you, man, but I'm looking at this wraparound stamp.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, right?
No,
Yeah, it's super cool.
It's totally badass, and I like the fact that all of your designs tell a story.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at the stamp job, dude, on the toe. That is super cool.
Yep. Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to roll these. And
he was trying to take one of my gamers.
I fell in love with one of them. That carbon one is awesome, but you have different milling on the face, right?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, sometimes I don't necessarily know like what milling does and that kind of stuff. And I was feeling the differences, right? So kind of dive into a little bit of like what you know and your process with all that.
Yeah, so face milling does a few things. First off the bat, everybody sees is the visual appeal, right? They want something that, they like. But what most people don't know is the way that you mill a face changes the way that the energy is transferred through the ball and through the club. And so most people would hear it as like a different sound and noise. It all comes down to energy transfer. And so the deeper mill that you have, the more that the actual face, if you think about it, it's vibrating slightly. And so that is a dampening of the sound. Instead of it just being, a solid block that transmits all the way through, you get a little bit of dampened vibration. And so the deeper mill that you have and the more milling marks that you have that are deeper, that all adds into that. So think about the actual impact of the ball. It's not a flat surface. You now have very small ridges that are impacting. So by really playing into the different levels of mill, you can really change the entire feel. I think we do somewhere around like 9 or 10 different face mills, and
9 or 10 different face mills.
And it really does change the feel. I mean, I can
totally
attest.
Does.
A ton.
Totally does.
You're all in on these shafts too, right?
Yeah.
So like there are different, putter shafts have come a long way.
Yep.
Right? It's not just a steel shaft thrown in there
No.
and then nobody thinks about it anymore. With your background as an engineer, like kind of dive into the differences in the shafts and the stuff that you know.
Yeah, the shafts has been a wild journey. As I kind of mentioned early on with my fitting process, even being an engineer, I've always kind of been skeptical in the golf world of, well, how well can it work on something that is not, it's not a robot, you're not that repeatable. So, human nature, like how much better can something make you as a human? And so it's been a really interesting journey to be, working on these putters and have them all like in the shop and trying all of these different shafts that I'm able to like feel firsthand and be like, this is way different than I would have ever guessed. And so then allows you to like really focus in on it. And so we went from, using like, nice like C-taper, shafts that were able to get like PVD coatings on it and be able to add like that level of customization to then, start working with the graphite shafts and, skeptical on those as well. You can spend a fortune on a graphite shaft, but is it worth it? And it absolutely can be. And we're kind of having a discussion earlier on about like, what do I like about this shaft? In my gamer, I play an LAGP shaft, but in a few of my other builds, and what we put is our stock shaft in most of the Sugar Skull builds is a KBS GPS. Talking about the difference of what I feel in that. And the big thing that I like about the graphite shafts is I feel like the level of stability over longer putts on being able to stay true to line is like huge.
Sure.
And I really got to test that to the extreme. Not to brag, but I was at St. Andrews last week. And
that's a good brag. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty solid, man.
And so got to play with some members and stuff that I've met along the way and got to have a good time, but really got to put it to the test when you're talking greens that are like 150 foot wide.
Right.
Like what do you do in that case?
And we don't have those here.
Those are auto 3 putts for most people.
Exactly.
Over and over
and,
again.
I was kind of reeling thinking back on it of, we have, a putter company. I built these putters. Doesn't mean I can putt, but, in that environment, that was where I was able to really put it to the test of using these things that I know that I like stability from long distance, and long distance in like the States is what, like 40 feet, 50 feet,
Sure.
might get like 70 foot putt, but there when you're actually like taking like a half swing putter that it feels and still being able to like be true to your line and stuff like that was like really kind of mind-blowing, that the things that you feel when you exaggerate that still plays into it. So I find that with the graphite shafts that I respond really well to like the long distance stability. We're talking about face milling, changing like the softness of or like what the feel is from it. The shaft changes a lot of the feel as well. And you find, I think what some people will see is like the graphite shaft has like a dampening effect of the vibration that you come up, your feedback and feel from the face. So it really depends on what you're into. You were talking about you really liking a lot of feedback in the face.
Yep.
And that's why you responded really well to the no-mill carbon face with a steel shaft.
Yeah.
So you can really kind of tune it for what you're looking at. But it has been a really fun journey to go through that. And then also like the varying price range of like a KBS GPS versus like an LAGP shaft they're just graphite. So what's the difference? But would you say that about a driver shaft? No.
Nope. Wouldn't even question it.
Nope. Wouldn't question it.
It's the same on putters. And so it's just been a fun journey, and it really comes down to, what are you into?
Right. And you're using your putter 25 to 37 times. I hope it's not a 37, but
Sometimes 40.
40.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. And you're hitting your driver 14 at the most. So it's like, you better get this thing dialed in. So it's interesting. Like you could have a different graphite shaft with a different milling and start to really dial in what you really want out of the feel. So it's like the graphite shaft could take some of the feel away, but you could put a little bit more back in there and really kind of find the right combination.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like the Goldilocks idea, right?
Yeah, so it allows you, if you as a player, if you're able to like tune into everything you like from that perspective, you can dive in and go deep and like really build the ultimate club. But something else I kind of like to highlight from like a performance perspective for like average everyday golfers that might not be able to notice all those things, but they know what they respond well to. They know what they like to hear or like to see visually, and that's where a lot of people make decisions. And I actually like to think of it with like the club stamping as well. Puts a smile on your face.
Sure.
You want to go hit your wedges, especially if you've like had input into that design and it's something meaningful to you. Like
for sure.
That'll absolutely, golf is such a mental game. If you're like so excited about your getting, think about every time you get a new driver and you go play it the first round. It's the best club you've ever had
like
in
Christmas
your life.
morning and you're 6.
Now think if it's personalized just to you, to something that responds well to you. And so that's what I think about the stamp work. And it's the same with like, building the putters is, for the average everyday golfer, maybe you don't need to dive that deep into the performance side of it, but if you can find something that you respond really well to, I really like this soft feel. I like this sound that it makes. I like this color to look at. I like, X, Y, and Z. The confidence in the mental game, I think, is actually pretty big beyond just
100%
saying I'm a tour player and I can feel a quarter gram in the head. You can do a lot more with it or instead of just saying like the raw outright performance, you can tune something to like fit what you respond well to.
Yeah, look good, feel good, play good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dress for success.
There's a thing there. I'm looking at these ball markers and a divot repair tool. You don't only do putters. You're getting into that kind of stuff. They're really cool.
Everybody's pocket game has been leveling up through the years, and I'm no different.
I like
game.
that.
Yeah,
and our buddy Doug Smith out on PGA Tour Live has gotten into this. He's created this little stick that he does with what's in them pockets.
Yeah,
and
it's a cool thing though.
He'll stop tour players
cool.
like middle of a practice round or on the driving range, shake them down. What do you got in your pockets?
Yep.
And some of the stuff that guys carry is super cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So you saying pocket game, like shout out Dougie Fresh.
Yeah.
It's
for sure.
So cool. And seeing these.
Everybody's picky with like what they. And I personally, I have a divot repair tool, 1 coin or something I'm marking my ball with, and 3 tees. And I try not to go past 3 tees.
Yeah.
My reasoning behind that is because when I reach in, I don't want to stick because I had a tee
that's
inside.
that is the worst.
That's the worst. So it's like I'm pretty picky about that. Like And then at the end, like you can show it to your friends and stuff, and like
Yeah.
the price is wrong, bitch. That's sick.
Yeah, it's super cool. Little SpongeBob nod there.
Right.
This, we were talking before we jumped on air, and I know we're going a little long on time, so let's hit on that. I want to talk about this putter.
Sure.
So this divot tool, Damascus Titanium.
Yeah.
Dude,
So cool.
that
Yeah.
that is awesome. I've never
Rare
seen anything
metal.
like it.
I mean,
Yeah. There's a few people out there that use it, and you see it in some putters and things like that. It's a really cool material to work with. So essentially for those of you, Damascus is a layered version of, steel is typically what you would see it at. You see it in like samurai swords and things that you can have, sandwiching of material. And then when etched, you can get different layers out of it to see. But titanium, you can use different grades of titanium layered. And when you heat it up, titanium self-anodizes. If you think about like a high-end exotic car exhaust turning blue and stuff like that, titanium exhaust. So changes color, but by having the different grades of titanium, when you bring it up to an equilibrium temperature, they anodize at different levels so you can get different color shades out of it. So it allows you to have like some really vibrant things. Now, the problem that comes into working with it is titanium tends to overheat when you try to use power tools on it. So if you use like a belt grinder or things like that, it can overheat and like burn the edges, or it's just really hard to control.
Why would you?
So something in this
Engineer.
This is me
Smart
making
person.
Golf nerds.
not as much.
so this is something me making a tool for myself and like setting out to do it and learning all these things that don't work. And like the way I mentioned, I used to forge knives. So, working with belt grinders and things is a common thing that I would do. And I just couldn't work with this. And so I had to resort to files and sandpaper to make this, to achieve this idea that I had in my mind, which again, when you're talking hours, you start putting like, 15 plus hours into a divot tool is,
Right.
a different perspective. The complication of it as well is to bring the finish up to like 2000 grit to really get that nice like shine to it before anodizing. I had to do that before stamping. So when you're talking about a stamp that can bounce, it can have a little skip and like leave a mark.
Yeah.
I did that all after 15 hours of handwork into getting it there. And so talk about the pressure of trying to stamp it was good fun, and you have to work yourself up to that.
Prepares you for golf.
Oh,
pressure,
yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like looking at it, you kind of go to a place, right?
Yeah.
Back to this putter,
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
the pressures of stamping.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the stamp work on the bottom of this, sick.
It's ridiculous.
Really badass.
Yeah.
The face melting, awesome.
It's amazing.
And you look over here on the heel, and I can't help but notice this is for an event in what is supposed to be Tucson, and there's a little typo,
There's a little error there.
little typo in the spelling of Tucson, and I kind of refer to this as like this. If this was me, I would embrace this and call it my Bob Ross putter. It's just a happy little accident.
It's a happy little accident.
And
exactly right.
look at this.
It's kind of spelled the way you'd think Tucson would be
Yeah,
spelled.
phonetically.
I was
Right?
so confident in that spelling as well that I didn't even know that it was a
You didn't even
mistake.
question
For
it.
reference, it says Tuscon.
Yep.
And this is a putter that we're going to be giving away at this event with all these collectors this weekend. And I posted yesterday in the group chat with like 90 collectors the teaser photo of this.
Yep.
And immediately got roasted about spell check, and I hadn't even noticed it myself. And
But we fixed it.
yep,
Right.
I put some arrows on it so you can see that the letters are supposed to be flipped.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
There's no mistakes. Just a happy little
It's
accident.
hand done.
yeah, hashtag handmade.
Hashtag handmade.
It's not done by a machine, and this is the proof.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. I mean, we're sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Like there are just slight imperfections once in a while, and that's it. It doesn't affect performance. So there's something to be said about
and
that.
tells you that somebody put the handwork in to do it, regardless of it being right or wrong. And so
For me, I would tell every single person that I played with about that putter.
I know.
And then point it out and go, dude, look at this. This is so cool. I
Right.
got a story for you.
Yeah.
It's a story. It's
Yeah,
definitely
it's a conversation.
It is.
And I would much prefer to have something like that than I would something that is pristine and perfect because it's cool to look at, but it doesn't have that story.
Yep.
Right.
I was absolutely mortified when I
No
learned.
way.
And it was really bad, and immediately messaging all the people on the side and being like, oh my God, like I can't believe this. And then it just kind of came into, then everybody, popping in the chat and, playing into it and, misspelling all of their cities that they're coming from as everybody's traveling for this event.
It's a thing.
And it's just now become a thing. And so play into it. But, it's just a reminder. It doesn't matter how many clubs you do. Stuff happens. Is just a good reminder to like think about it and maybe spell check.
Well, it's Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great. You can make a connection with your golf game. Hey, shit happens.
Shit happens. Absolutely.
Moving on. Shit happens.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. That doubles behind me.
Before we wrap
Try to
this
make a
up,
birdie.
let's get back to this giveaway.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we have
4 wedges. Yeah.
that you're gonna do. We're not putting handcuffs on. We're just gonna let you go nuts.
You do you.
And in order for you to get one of these 1-of-1 Pajama Golf Miura wedges, they're going to have to do some liking. So we got to like
Gotta
Fully
like it.
Equipped, got to like Miura Golf,
Yep.
got to like Pajamas Golf. And then, if you tag a couple of friends along the way, then
Should
wouldn't
we do
hurt.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
2 or 3.
I mean, you already have 3 likes in there. So I think 2.
okay.
2's fine.
If you tag 2 people,
2 people.
like 3 pages, we can get you a 1-of-1 wedge from Julian and Pajamas Golf.
There you go.
I think that's a hell of a deal.
Now, do we want them to be fully finished, or do we want anybody of the winners to have a say in what they have?
Ooh.
That's the question.
Yeah.
I would
mean,
almost defer to you.
Yeah. What would you think?
Do you want some influence, or do you just want to go nuts and have a blank canvas? I mean, it's your world, brother. We're just living in it.
That's right.
I like the blank canvas side, but I don't know if there's interest in being able to say that this is mine, or
Maybe
Well,
they get a say in color.
Sure.
Maybe you do the design. We figure out the winner, and then we connect you guys and do a little custom color action.
Sure.
What about that?
Yeah, I like that.
Like
maybe
that?
add a little bit of personalization, maybe some initials or
There you go.
something like that. But,
Yeah, unless they have something really important that they want. Right?
Sure.
They can. I guess they can have a trump card.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So
Sure.
Yeah.
So there we go.
if it were up to me, I'd be like, you go. You
Yeah.
do your
Yeah.
thing.
Sure.
Let
Yeah.
him cook.
I-
Just do his thing.
Just put some blue in there.
A big blue guy.
So we're gonna like Fully Equipped, Miura Golf, Pajamas Golf, tag 2 of your buddies, chance to win.
There we go.
1-of-1. Sounds like a collaboration
Yeah.
with Pajamas.
Yep.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So
It's
make
awesome.
sure, give us a like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.